Hello friends and welcome to the February 2020 garden tour. In today's episode, we begin with the garden tour, we then look at all the harvests we made this month, we also have a delicious recipe for you, and finally we'll take a look at some cool gardening products. So let's begin with the garden tour. This is the area that we were planning to have our raised beds installed on, and as you can see, we've done all the groundwork of digging up and making sure that the PVC pipes and the drains are put in place. And we're going to be using cinder blocks to prepare our beds. And as you can see, cinder block is a very versatile, very sturdy material. And instead of going with wood or any other material, we decided to go with a permanent solution like cinder blocks, which are put in place together using concrete or cement. And this is a very sturdy option, a very reliable option that you can use for many years to come. And let's take a closer look at how the raised beds are set up. As you can see, we have made sure that the drains are in place. There will also be some PVC pipe connections inside to make sure that each of these beds is irrigated well. And the concrete blocks are quite sturdy and they can withstand adverse weather for quite a long time. So overall, I think this is a great solution to raised beds. And as you can see, we have 3 blocks and then a cap on top of that. We were initially thinking of using 2 blocks, which is 12 inches, but adding that third block, which makes the total about 18 inches, is a much better solution so that you can add a lot of soil, good quality soil, and then grow your vegetables inside these raised beds. Let me know what you think of these raised beds. Do you think using cinder blocks or concrete is a better solution than using wood? Let me know what you think in the comments box below. And now let's look at all the harvests we made this month, beginning with peppers. This is the bird's eye chili pepper, and as you might have seen in my previous monthly video, we were growing these indoors and these produced a lot of peppers. Now after harvesting all the peppers, as you can see here, we will be trimming this plant and then replanting it in the same pot so that it grows even more peppers. We plan to keep this plant indoors for the rest of the season, as we don't have space to grow it outside anyways. Now the bird's eye chili pepper is an extremely hot pepper. It's actually much hotter than the cayenne pepper variety, and it produces a decent harvest. The peppers are not that large in size, but with the quantity of peppers that you get from this plant, that's quite enough. So if you're looking for a hot pepper variety, this is a great pepper variety to grow in your home garden. And here you can see the peppers, they look amazing. Very fresh, very delicious. And now let's move on to tomatoes. We were growing cherry tomatoes indoors as well. And you can see this plant, I just brought it outdoors just so that we could harvest it and trim it and put it back in the soil or in the container. And since we don't have our raised bed set up yet, I will be moving this over to a container. But the cherry tomatoes grew quite well. As you can see, the tomatoes look quite nice. And we did get a lot of tomatoes. This is the Husky Cherry Red tomato variety, and it produced a lot of tomatoes. Moving on to sunberries. Now this is a very unique vegetable or fruit. You can actually call it a fruit, but the sunberries are very unique tasting and they're mostly consumed for their medicinal values. Like they have a lot of vitamins and minerals that are supposed to be good for you. Now, I'm not really a big fan of this vegetable or this berry. This plant was given to me by one of my friends and he recommended that I grow this plant, and once the berries turn ripe, that they could be consumed raw. And they have a very unique taste. I can't really describe it, but it doesn't taste like a regular berry. It's more like sour or a little more bland than any other berry that I've eaten. People don't eat this for its taste, but rather the medicinal value that it provides. Now it's really difficult to harvest these berries because they're so soft and they just crush in your hands when you're harvesting them. But overall it was fun to grow this plant. As you can see, the harvest, it gives you a lot of berries. Some people even dry these berries and then consume it with yogurt. And moving on to tangerines. This is the gold nugget tangerine, and this is one tangerine that we have been growing in our whiskey barrel container for quite some time. And this is the season it produces these tangerines. And as you can see, these tangerines look very nice and are very sweet and delicious. Now these tangerines are not as sweet as the Kishu mandarin, but this tangerine variety does produce late into the season. So it's like February right now and we're still harvesting a lot of tangerines. So this is a good variety if you want harvests that last into February or March or the early spring season. Now I eventually plan to move this into the ground. However, right now we don't have space to do that. But once we plan out our garden, most likely this will be moved to the ground. And now let's look at some indoor vegetables that we were growing. This is the hydroponic system that I spoke about in my previous video. And we are harvesting a lot of vegetables from our hydroponic grow system, the Green Joy hydroponic grow system. So what we're harvesting here are amaranth, dill, cilantro, and we were able to harvest a lot of these from just this one hydroponic grow box. And once we complete harvesting it, I will then move on to what did we do with the harvest, which is something new that you will see in this month's episode, and I hope you find it interesting. But overall, I'm very pleased with this Green Joy hydroponic growing system. I think we were easily able to grow herbs like cilantro and even larger plants like dill or amaranth very easily in this system. It does require some maintenance though. You have to watch the water levels once the plants grow. But overall, I think I was quite pleased with the way this hydroponic system gave us the harvest. And here you can see the root system. The plant that was growing in this hydroponic kit has very dense roots. I literally had to pull these out, and you can see here the roots are quite large, and it's actually quite interesting to see how these roots grow inside the water. But here you can see the roots, and once the plant is harvested and you're ready to grow a new plant, you can actually remove this completely and then start new seedlings and then repeat the process all over again. And now let's move on to the new section in today's monthly episode, which is recipes. You saw all that we harvested from our Green Joy hydroponic grow box, the amaranth, the dill, and we're going to be putting it to good use. What we are doing here is chopping up the amaranth leaves. Amaranth is extremely healthy. It has a lot of vitamins and minerals. And here you can see the dill leaves. Dill again is very good for your health. I highly recommend that you start consuming dill, amaranth, and all these other wonderful leafy greens in your diet. And that will not only help you lead a much healthier life, it will also make you resistant to a lot of diseases. You build immunity when you eat healthy leafy greens. And we're going to be chopping up some more amaranth leaves here. As you can see, the amaranth leaves that we're using are a mix of the green amaranth as well as the red amaranth. And amaranth does take some time to cook, so I usually chop them up not too fine, but at least to a point where it's easier for me to cook them. And this is the red amaranth. As you can see, red colored leaves. Once again, a lot of good vitamins and minerals in this amaranth variety as well. And when you mix different colors of vegetables, leafy greens, that's what will give you a lot of vitamins and minerals that are essential for leading a healthy life. Now what we're going to do is dice a potato. I use Yukon Gold potatoes because I love the flavor of the Yukon Gold potatoes. They have a nice buttery flavor. So all you do is dice this potato, just one medium potato. And what we'll be making today is a wonderful stir-fried recipe that you can eat with quinoa or tortillas or almost anything else. Now to start the cooking process, we take a skillet or pan or anything that you want to use and add a tablespoon of oil. And once the oil heats up in a minute or so, just add some cumin seeds, some mustard seeds, and optionally you can also add something which is available in a lot of Indian grocery stores. It's like puffed lentils. And now once the oil is heated up, you just mix it in a little bit and then add the potatoes. Now I like the potatoes to be a little brown or a little roasted in the stir fry. So just go ahead and mix it in with the cumin seeds and the mustard seeds and just stir fry it very well. And the potato pieces take some time to cook. So I usually cook these potatoes for about 7 minutes or so, and that's quite enough to cook these potatoes. Now add some chili powder, turmeric powder and salt and mix it in. But once the spices are mixed in very well, you can then add the leafy greens. Here we are adding the chopped up leafy greens, which is the amaranth and the dill. And the dill gives a very nice subtle flavor to the stir fry, and it really brings out a lot of flavors in the dish. So you just mix it in with the potatoes, and once you mix it in, the amaranth and the dill, they will still take some time to cook. So I usually mix it in, and once it's thoroughly mixed in, you can add some salt as well at this stage. Or if you want to skip the salt and just enjoy the natural flavors, you can do that too. And once this is thoroughly mixed in, what I usually do is just cover this and cook for another 7 minutes or so, and that's enough for these vegetables to cook. And once that's done, you can add some spices. In this case, I'm using the spice that you see on the screen. You can pretty much add any spice, or if you want more of a bland stir fry, you can skip that as well. And after about 7 to 10 minutes, you will have a delicious stir fry dish which contains amaranth, dill, potatoes, and you can eat this with either rice or quinoa or tortilla, however you like it. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and if you have any comments regarding the recipe or would like to know more, let me know. And if you'd like to see more recipes in the upcoming videos, do let me know as well. And now let's look at some cool gardening products. At Costco, they've started selling all garden products. You can see the Dr. Earth Pure Gold all-purpose plant food. And this is an amazing product from the ingredients that are listed here. And it's at a decent price. It's a liquid all-purpose fertilizer that you can use for all your organic gardening needs. The Miracle Grow Organic Potting Mix is available for $8.99, which is quite a decent price for this potting mix, which is a great quality potting mix. The plants, we have a lot of plants, tomatoes and peppers and a lot of other plants that are quite large, and the quality of the plants that I saw was just amazing. And a 3-pack is available for $8.99, so you could choose multiple plants here. You can see the cilantro. The cilantro leaves are just absolutely huge. I'm not sure what kind of seeds they used, but the quality of the cilantro looks pretty good. The pepper varieties are quite a lot, and for $8.99 for a 3-pack, it's quite a decent price for the size of the plant. These are quite large plants, so you'll have to spend less time taking care of it, and they will give you harvest sooner than smaller plants. And as always, there's also the Whitney Farms organic planting soil, and you can use these for raised beds as well as containers. However, it's recommended that you use this for raised beds, and for $7.99 it's a good deal as well. So there we have it, folks. That was our episode on the February 2020 monthly gardening series. If you like this video, do give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments box below. We'll see you again soon. Happy gardening!